Welcome to the gift of being home. I'm Ann Lovely, CEO of Coastal Hospice, and for years, we've had the privilege of walking alongside families here on the Lower Eastern Shore during some of life's most sacred and vulnerable moments. And one thing we hear over and over again is this: we wish we had known sooner. Hospice is often misunderstood. Families wait too long. Caregivers feel like they're doing it all alone, and fear can take the place of understanding. So we created this space. For 46 years, our community has trusted Coastal Hospice to provide comfort, dignity, and support at the end of life. And this podcast is just an extension of that. We're here to talk honestly about what hospice really is, when to call, and how to care for someone you love with more confidence and peace. We'll walk through things like when hospice is appropriate, what the final days can look like, how to manage pain without fear, and how to support caregivers along the way. Whether you're caring for someone, referring patients, or just trying to understand more, this is a place for clarity and compassion. Because being home isn't just a place, it's about comfort, peace, and love. I'm really glad you're here.
Hi everyone, we're so glad you're here with us today. For this conversation, we're going to walk through something that can feel a little unknown for many families. What actually happens during that very first hospice visit? The first visit is such an important moment, and understanding what to expect can really help ease a lot of anxiety for people. I'm joined today by Allie Patterson, one of our nurses here at Coastal Hospice. Allie brings firsthand experience and a compassionate perspective to what that first visit truly looks like for patients and families. Allie, thank you so much for being here. To start us off, can you walk us through what typically happens during that initial hospice visit?
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me here with you today. I would love to do that. I think a lot of times our families are extremely nervous about having hospice come out to the house and opening up their home to us and letting us into their private area. And first of all, I'm thankful for the families letting us come in to talk to them and explain what services we offer. Typically what will happen is our admission nurse, which is what I did for a very long time here, will give a phone call to the patient's family or primary caregiver to establish that the visit will take place and that it's appropriate for the patient at that time. Nobody shows up to your house unannounced or unwelcomed, so they don't have to worry about people coming and going without letting them know that they'll be visiting. So I think that's very important. Nobody wants people just to show up out of nowhere. So I think that typically we just kind of first get to know the family. I think that's the most important thing, is to just be welcomed in and welcome them to hospice and let them know what we have to offer.
That's really helpful. Can you talk a little bit more about what's included in that initial assessment when the first time that they meet with a patient and a family?
Sure. So as a nurse, that initial assessment is extremely important because we're getting to know not only the patient, but the family and what their needs are, and assessing the entire time what they'll need moving forward. So I think that oftentimes, initially, it's very important for the family to be able to share what has happened in their journey. A lot of times they have been through multiple medical procedures and tests, and or may have just found out this information pretty recently, and are feeling very anxious. And a lot of times they really want somebody to hear their story, to listen to them. So oftentimes a nurse will be that person, someone who will listen to their story and hear what has happened so that we can make good choices for their care moving forward. Our initial assessment is like I said, getting to know them and also doing a physical assessment. So we'll be doing like a blood pressure, an arm measurement, looking at their skin to assess if they have any open wounds or dressing needs moving forward. making sure that they have the appropriate medications in the home, making sure that we're ordering what they need moving forward, and speaking with the physician directly in the home during that process to make sure they have everything they need.
I really love that you mentioned really taking that time to listen. I'm sure families really appreciate that, especially at the time that they are going through the anxiety that's happening. How do those conversations help guide the care moving forward, do you think, after having that conversation with families and really getting to know them?
I think it really dictates where the care needs to move forward. Patients and families are, very similar based on, what their diagnosis is, but they're also very different. And everybody, doesn't need the same thing. We may need, specific visits from physical therapy or music therapy. Veterans, we honor veterans program, which is fantastic. And we find this information out in that initial assessment, this initial visit. It's an opportunity to get to know the family and let them know what hospice has to offer, because there's usually a very high amount of anxiety associated with the word hospice. And the thing that I hear most often from families is that they're not ready to die. And oftentimes I tell them that nobody is, but that everybody in the room is, including myself, just to kind of, relieve some of that anxiety for them, to let them know that we're here with them, we understand what they're going through, and we are trying to move forward with them in a way that is providing them with dignity and care and understanding.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Once you've had that conversation and understand what matters most, how is the care plan developed for the patient?
So the care plan is specific to each patient. So it's very important that we look at every patient's needs. And during this conversation, initially, we look at that particularly. And I think we build on that. So, I'm the initial nurse that goes out and speaks to the family, and needs can change as their care progresses. So whatever care plan is necessary in the beginning may not be the same care plan throughout their whole stay in hospice. So the nurses are constantly updating that care plan. Our goal is to make it patient specific, make sure that we're meeting each particular patient's needs and their family's needs. And that is driven not only through my assessment, but also through the family's verbalizations of what they need, because oftentimes the family knows better what they need than any practitioner.
Oh yeah, definitely. I can definitely see that. And from a physical standpoint, how quickly are things like medications or the equipment and services put into place for the patient and the family?
That's one of the things that I think I'm most proud about for working with hospice, is that what the family needs is typically in the house before I even arrive for my assessment, for my first visit. Our ladies in the access office usually are working behind the scenes prior to that first visit, ordering durable medical equipment, making sure that a comfort care kit is in the home so that if medications are needed to be utilized immediately, we can obtain orders from a practitioner and implement them almost immediately so that families are receiving what they need and comfort without having to wait, because it's frustrating and painstaking to watch the people that you love suffer. So we try to make sure that that's one less thing they have to worry about.
And I think that's great to know, and I'm so glad you shared that with us today. For the families that may feel overwhelmed going into that first visit that we've talked about, what do you hope they walk away with afterwards?
So honestly, I hope that every person that has a nurse or hospice professional come out to their home and speak to them walks away with the comfort of knowing what we offer. I think that it's very scary and anxiety provoking to have strangers come to your home. I think that it's anxiety provoking to receive a diagnosis that is, has a death sentence attached to it. It can be extremely scary and unsettling to the primary caregiver and the patient. And I want them to know that we're in this with them, that we have a lot to offer. I always tell my patients that hospice sells itself. I don't have to kind of sell it. It's just sharing with them what we truly believe, and that is that we're going to provide comfort and dignity to them, and that they can live their best life in their last days. Not that, we're trying to plan out their demise, that we're trying to allow them to continue to do the things that they love to do in spite of the symptoms or things that they might be suffering with.
And that's probably very encouraging for them too.
I certainly hope so.
This has been really reassuring in this conversation. And I think one of the biggest takeaways is that the first hospice visit is really about connection, understanding, and support. It's not rushed. It's thoughtful, it's comprehensive, and centered around truly listening to what matters the most of the patient and their families. And from there, a plan is put into place quickly so that families feel supported and prepared and know exactly who to turn to when they need help. Allie, thank you so much for walking us through this and helping us take some of that unknown out of that very first visit. Thank you for everyone that's joined us today. I hope this information has brought you more comfort and clarity and a better understanding around what to expect on that initial visit with hospice. Thank you so much for joining today.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.